Hello, this is Ongoing Moviegoers. We're reviewing a movie called Lucy.
Lucy, starring
Scarlett Johansson and Morgan Freeman. We're the only two people I know. There's some other people in there who did other movies.
I guess.
But these are the main
And
main
the main,
characters.
well, one of the main protagonists, well, not really the protagonist, but the Chinese dude.
She's the protagonist.
No, the bad guy.
You mean the antagonist?
Yeah, the antagonist.
He's not an antagonist. I don't know what the fuck he was. He was just
Ooh,
in there.
Chinese
there.
dude.
the Asian, who had the drugs.
Yeah.
So you explain the premise of the story.
Well, basically, Lucy was about this girl who was able to reach 100% capacity of her brain. And, well, Jamie, go ahead and talk about the 10% you was talking about earlier.
Oh, well, number one, the movie was about this girl who went to China for whatever reason, hanging out with friends, dated a random, I don't know what he was, Australian, white, I don't know what he was, but a guy, and he was involved in doing something sketchy that paid $1,000 a delivery.
Hmm.
And she got involved forcibly, and that spiraled into her having drugs in her stomach. After that happened, this special drug that apparently that at 6 months of pregnancy that a female produces for a baby's fetus to develop properly, it changed her and making her be able to consciously control and use all neurons in her body. And this is displayed by talking about the 10%, which if you read anything after Lucy, they would talk about how it was false and 10% is not a real thing, you know. But a lot of the concepts are really based in science in this movie. And even though the 10% was the main thing to break down to explain to the audience, it really is about controlling your very being as a human being. And that's what Lucy unlocked.
Because she pretty much became a god after that, right?
Well, yeah, like what, after 40? Like,
No, I was like 30 because she was controlling people at 30, right?
Right. If she was able to sustain herself at 30, she would have been just, you know. Well, after 28, she explained to the Morgan Freeman character that she didn't have any more desires, fears.
Right.
So, what made you human? What made you have goals? What made you be a desire of being a god? All that faded away for her.
Right.
And he gave her a purpose was to spread that knowledge somewhere. So, and that's what she did. She went around finding the other drug mules, so because the drug helped sustain her, so she can fill out and pass his knowledge along. That's her whole purpose, you know. And then you had the person who put the drugs in her was this Asian mobster-ish.
Yakuza.
We don't really know. Wow, that's you'll be like more of a triad if you were
Triads?
Yeah, but we don't know what it was because we just know he's a rich dude, had like 15 bodyguards, everybody got suits.
He was some type of mafia.
He was some type of something, you know.
Something.
And yeah, and he was kind of upset, you know, what happened to my drugs, you know? And so he went to go try to find these people who keep taking these drugs, and he didn't care about police officers.
No, he didn't care about anybody. He rolled up on them like,
he
what?
rolled up on them real quick. Were they in Paris? I don't know how he got
the last trip she went to go recover the
Paris.
drugs from was, I think that was
I don't know how they got those drugs from. I mean, those guns from. You know, but whatever. He part of triad, so I guess they got guns everywhere.
Got guns everywhere.
So after that,
After what?
there's so much.
It was a lot. It was a lot of stuff. But let's go back to the
The
part
movie's not even
where,
long. It's just
where Morgan Freeman was saying that human beings are what did he say? Word for word? Like they want more of having than being.
oh yeah. They he was explaining how the dolphins have developed sonar to their brains, and he was saying that's one of the main difference between our changes in animals like that changes, that we focus on more of our importance on having things than being that thing. So we rather build a ladder instead of breed until we're all tall. That in a nutshell, that's one of those things he was talking about. And they had they broke up. I love the usage of raw footage of animals to show
the jungle clips.
The jungle clips they had the jungle clips at the first part when she was about to be surrounded by the thugs and get snatched off. You have a cheetah taking down a gazelle, and it was just real. The symbolism behind those things is really good. I enjoy how you use that and how Morgan Freeman explains if a cell is in an odd environment, it will choose the option of being immortal. Right. And if it's in a good environment, it will choose the option
to
of producing. Right. And which means immortal, you can't see my air quotes, immortal, because it will choose to try to sustain itself.
Right.
Of all costs. But if its environment is great, then they'll just choose to pass on that knowledge through their cells through reproduction.
And that's basically what happened in the movie. He suggested to pass on the knowledge.
Right. At that point, I think it was a fusion of her goal wasn't to be immortal, but her casing, which is her body, was not conducive to what she's became.
What she needs.
But since she was human, she cognitively chose to spread that knowledge. So she technically did both. But, she technically did both. Mm-hmm. She did pass on knowledge. And people were like, oh, yeah, she came from USB. Well, technically, that was more of
she became a USB.
That was technically more of a HDMI port type of thing. So it's probably if you know Android can make Android HDMI flash drives, which is it's an operational system. Mm-hmm. So it's probably more of a super condensed computer more than less than a flash drive. And this is one of the reasons why a lot of people didn't like the movie. Just the flash drive represents, when people say that, oh, she turned into a flash drive, instead of just comprehending what she transformed into, information.
Yeah, I figured it was a bunch of stuff
something that you can digest. Mm-hmm. And for your lack of knowledge, and you just assuming it was a flash drive because you don't know, and that's a lot of this movie was jumping out there and just trying to grasp what they're trying to say, instead of shutting stuff down because you don't understand it. And that's when a lot of reviews, when people didn't like the movie, probably because they didn't understand it.
They probably only use 1%.
I heard so many reviews.
Use 1% of their brain.
Oh my gosh, she was using the Force, and I was the Force. I get real technical. The Force is actually something, that the Jedi actually manipulate and use. But I understand what you're trying to say. She had something that you thought you saw, but this is a movie and it's not what that is. So they explain she was moving actual matter. She was bending and manipulate actual matter. The Jedi don't do that. They move using what George Lucas explained in the first movie when he didn't
about the Force,
which was ridiculous.
Episode 1,
the Midichlorians, which are micro higher consciousness beings that the Jedi and people who are Force, that is technically what the Force is, and you guys are connected to it. You gave movement, which allows you to move objects, which allows you to sense stuff, which allows you to have ridiculously reflexes. That's what that is, So when you literally are pulling another science fiction thing and pull it to another science fiction thing, and expect nobody to, oh, ha ha ha, she just used Force. shut the fuck up. Because they just like you could just say stop being complicated. Like, oh, she so at 4% she can move matter. Yeah, that's what they want. That's what the movie was trying to say.
Right.
You can move matter. Well, you didn't have to jump into a whole other universe, a whole other dimensional universe, a whole bunch of another fantasy science fiction universe and try to dumb it down. Because even when Star Wars came out, that was ridiculous, you know. So, like, just idiot on top of idiot. Me and my other co-hosts, who you hear rambling on and all this over here, we saw a whole bunch of stupid comments. They were just dumb, you know. I mean, at the end of the day, they were just stupid comments.
That 1%.
On right, it was just people just didn't get it, didn't like it, and
The movie was ahead of its time.
the problem was, and I was telling like it might be a cult classic, you know, like in 20 years, people might be like, oh man, did you watch Lucy? That was the movie that pushed people to make movies that go beyond consciousness. You know, I wouldn't be surprised I see a whole bunch more movies that Transcendence tried to do it, like a whole bunch more movies that try to push, well, what is past consciousness? What if we're omnipresent? What if, these things, we are one with the galaxy and the universe and we're beings like that, and what does that even mean? What we like, what we don't like? I would not be surprised I see more movies like that. This is the same guy who made Fifth Element, and people be like, oh, it's some guns and hot chicks. Then you didn't really understand Fifth Element. And it's embarrassing. You should not. and it's the same people like, oh yeah, I guess they should have added more action scenes in the movie. And I'm like, you don't understand Lucy, and that's okay, but you need to hush. It's just like it's okay to have these opinions. You need to understand it. Watch it again. Watch it over again. Really pause it and really try to take in what he's trying to say.
Right.
Rewatch it. And it's like at some point at some level, people want science fiction to be real. But my cousin, I know actual people who trying to be into robotics and went to school for it. Like when you watch any Android movie, they're like, that's real dumb because it doesn't work like that. But you don't hear these complaints about those movies, because number one, we don't have any grasp on robotics as a day-to-day people, so we don't know. That's what it is. We just don't know. But for the brain, doctors know it, and they can break it down to you. And be like, oh no, the 10% thing is not the thing. You're just not using consciously all your neurons, and things for different things. Stuff is for memory. Stuff is for remembering
so
what faces look like.
Can't consciously
control everything, and that's what Lucy was doing. And the movie chose to break it down in that fallacy of 10%. And people just took that part. Oh, that's fake. I can't even get into the movie because that's fake. Like, number one, do realize this is a fucking science fiction movie. I don't fucking understand. Like you want it to be real, but you don't want it to be
that real.
Like,
it is a movie.
What do you watch alien movies? Like, I don't. There's no scientific proof of aliens, but what do you want from a movie? You know what you're getting into. So it's because you went to the movies. You didn't go to a documentary. You didn't go to you didn't pick up a book. Now this would be different thing if this was in a science book or something.
Right.
You're like, oh, is this real? You expect stuff that they teach science and they trying to went from hypotheses to theory to there's actual scientific thing. Mm-hmm. You expect that to be in there, but not movie. I'm sorry. There have been movies, and I consider Lucy one of them to be one of those movies that make you think, is that possible?
Right.
What are the stages to this that could be in our reality? We had again, we did a little bit of research, and there was Emory doctors talking about remembering things at high density. That's a possibility for your brain to do. Going into telekinesis and moving matter, that goes into another level that we're not at yet or can't even explain. So that goes into science fiction, because we can't explain it. That's what science fiction is. It's trying to base on some science, but it's truly fiction. Until stuff start being science fiction, like robots. At one point, science fiction, that was science fiction. Now motherfuckers go to a university and they're working on robots. You know, so it just baffled me how it's okay to dislike a movie. It's okay to not understand a movie. That's okay. If I saw this, we saw this later on. We didn't see it in the theaters. If I saw it in the theaters, I might have missed some stuff because just how things were coming at
so
you
fast.
But it's not like I'm going to be like, oh, that movie sucked, you know, because of my lack of understanding. You know, and it's just another human trait that if you don't understand it, it's something wrong with it, not you. That's okay. Get over it, you know. But yeah, it was a good movie. It was a good movie. Watch this. Go watch Blade Runner. Go watch Alien. It's one of those movies.
But this is more one of those movies where you got to sit down, pay attention, and just focus on just this movie.
You had to pay attention on Blade Runner. Blade Runner hit you with some stuff. Hit you with some stuff. You know, so but it was a different thing. And Blade Runner wasn't big when it came out. You know?
It's big now.
Yeah. Because like it hit you with like what is freedom of will and consciousness, and if a robot has it, does that mean I deserve it? And you know, because he was a cop going around trying to figure out, are you like, you know, a free will conscious entity, or you just supposed to be ignorant? You're not supposed to be that. And it went so fast, like it went deeper. The movie went very deep. So like when I watched it like whoa, you know. But I watched it several years. I wasn't born in the 80s, so I clearly watched it several years after it came out. And I was in a mindset of I've always been in a mindset of like, I'm in the movie. Mm-hmm. You know, I'm not trying to be over analyzing. And that goes to the fact that we're ongoing moviegoers. You know, we watch movies, you know? Like, so that goes to a lot of movies. Lucy's great. Watch a movie. If you don't understand, it's okay. Don't yell at it. Rewatch it. Rewatch it. Keep watching until you get it. If you don't, then, you know, email us. I don't know what to tell you.
You might have to use a little more percentage of your brain.
You know, just read a book.
What's going on.
You know, go read a couple science books and go back and read this, so you can understand a movie. It's at that level. I'm sorry.
Yep. Well, I agree. Good movie. Good cinematography. There's a lot of cuts, a lot of jump scenes.
And that monologue with the mom. Ugh.
Oh yeah.
Man.
With the
breast milk. Oh.
How I tasted.
Man.
My bones growing.
I remember every kiss you gave me. 1,000 of them.
1,000 of them. Good movie. Go check it out.
Yeah.
All right. This is Ongoing Moviegoers signing out.